What I'm going to do here today, briefly, is I'm going to try and clean up the old radiator here for the 580. I've had it out for a while, and it's covered in grease. There's a lot of grease you can see in it here. I've already had it in this bucket, had dish detergent in here, and I went at it with a paintbrush and dish detergent, warm soapy water. I got, some of the surface stuff off here. So what I'm going to do now is I got some compressed air. So I'm just going to blow through it with compressed air, and then I'm going to use some paint thinner on it. Do the same thing, see if I can get grease out of the fins here. Okay. Let's put some of this on here. See if we can. Yeah, right on the surface it's not going to matter much, but it's what's down in the fins. See what happens. I'm going to probably just brush this on and let it soak for a little bit. Give it about a half an hour maybe, and then I'll come back and blow it out. Take a look at it. Yeah. Yeah. Looks like a brass tank on this. Thought it was copper, but when I see the color of it there, it looks like brass. Okay, so I got that cleaned out. Doesn't look too bad. I put it up here on this bench. I put it across some 2x4s, and I just poured some alcohol on it. Basically, alcohol will just help degrease it a bit. I might have some brake cleaner here too. I'll put some brake cleaner on it and make sure the rest of the grease is out of it, because once I finish, I don't know, I might try and straighten a few of these fins and stuff. But once I get all that done, when the weather smartens up, maybe tomorrow, I'm gonna paint it. Just maybe put a little rust converter on this shroud here a bit, maybe, and then paint it. I'm not gonna put a heavy coat of paint on the fins here. I just want to keep it a light coat here. I mainly want to paint the body of the radiator. That's what I like to do. Keep it looking good. Anyway, you can see here where this rad has been soldered before. Like, this has been soldered, that's been soldered, that's been soldered. And I saw somewhere else, I thought it was soldered near the bottom. Well, maybe not there. That's gotten flattened out pretty good. See what it is? It's really close tolerance between the fan and this rad where it sits, and you can see this is the pattern of the fan on there. Look at that, see? So somehow this radiator was moved at one point when the fan was turning. I don't know if these are leaking. These don't look great, eh? Look at that. This was holding antifreeze right to the top when I first got a hold of it. So I don't know if it'll leak under pressure, but just static sitting there, there was no leaks in it. So I'm going to test it though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rig up something. I'm going to put the cap on, and I'm going to block off these and see if I can get a Schrader valve into one of these blocks and see if I can pump it up a little bit with a bicycle pump. Just put a little air in it and see if I can test it. I don't know if I got a bin big enough to submerge the whole thing, but I'll figure something out. Okay, another thing I do here periodically, and I'm getting ready to put the rad in, so I every now and then I've been turning the engine over. Yeah. So it rolls over. There's the compression there. Get some compression there. And it goes past it, so it's free. It turns over. See, there it is. Should have used a little longer extension. There. That's good. It keeps everything moving. The other thing I'll show you here, see right here, what's taped up here on this side. It's a pipe fitting. It comes out. There's a hydraulic reservoir on this side and hydraulic reservoir on that side. Anyway, there's a T here that goes in front of the radiator, and it drops down as a suction for this pump. There's a hydraulic pump goes right here. It's driven off the end of the crankshaft. But what I'm thinking about as I'm looking at this is such tight quarters in here. What I'm actually thinking I might do is unscrew these and see if I can find a 90-degree fitting. What is that, 3/4 pipe, looks like? I'm going to get a 3/4 fitting, put one on each side, and bring these pipes, instead of straight out, right tight up against the rad almost, bring them out down this way, and then, you know, join it out here somewhere. It's not critical that they go straight across like that. You know, it's really curious why they would put them there in the first place. I guess they're protected from the, you know, the bucket going up and down and everything, those arms. But if it was me, I don't know, if there's no other reason, I would have tapped, you know, a hole in the bottom here, brought them out here and passed them, you know, drilled through this and brought them in, instead of, like, when you see this, if you know these tractors, this goes right, the rad is right there. I don't even know if you can get a hose on them without, you know, touching the rad. So there's something I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if I'll do it or not, but I'll look into it. I don't really think that there's a better reason, you know, why they have to go straight out. I don't think they have to go straight out. Anyway, so like I say, I got some more information on this engine. I found out, I did some digging, and it's a 188 diesel. It's been rebuilt. I don't know when, but sometime in the last 25 years or 30 years, it's been rebuilt. So last I heard, somewhere around 1995, someone had news that it had been rebuilt. So that's, what's that, 25 years? Somewhere in that, or just before that, it had been rebuilt. And this is why you can see there's primer on the engine. And if we look at the rest of the tractor, it's not primered. See here? See in here, it's got weird paint on it. It's been orange, it's been yellow, it's been all kinds of things, but you can see the block is primer. So it's been out, and you know, rebuilt, you know, who knows what rebuilt really means. So some people say rebuilt or overhauled, and you know, that can mean anything from new liners to just a new set of rings, or, you know, depending on who's talking about it, right? So anyway, here's another look down. Another look down in front of the engine. Yeah, the rads, there's, like I say, there's a pulley you'll see I put on here, and the fan goes on here. The rad goes right in here, so the rad fits between where those pipe fittings come out here and the water pump. You know, it's right in here. It's really tight. And I've heard people say that what they do with these, they put they tuck a fan belt in. You know, they put one over the pulley, and they put another one around that crank pulley, and they tuck one up out of the way, kind of wire it in case they have to, you know, the first one wears out or breaks, they've already got it threaded over the crank, and they can just put it on. I don't know if I'll have to do that or not, but we'll see. So yeah, the radiator sits right in here, you know, right in like that, and the fan goes, there's a pulley goes on the water pump here, and the fan, there's next to no clearance between the rad and the fan. And so what I'm trying to do is, I won't be able to get at this crankshaft pulley once the rad's in, but I've been trying to clean it a little bit, Got a bit of sandpaper here. Running it in the groove. There's some rust down in the groove. So I've been doing that. Another thing I got to do right here is the part of the corrosion that happened is on the power steering pump here. This is the reservoir for the power steering pump. That's the filler for it there. This was caked in here with leaves, and wet leaves at that. So this whole side of the power steering reservoir was rusted through. So I had this off, and I put JB Weld on it, cleaned it up, JB Welded it, and then this black that you see here on the engine is rust converter. But see, I just got some tape here now because it's not quite installed the way it needs to be, because there's an O-ring that goes here, and I don't have an O-ring splicing kit, and I don't have an O-ring big enough, and I looked online, I couldn't see where to get an O-ring for that, so I'm gonna have to figure out an O-ring for that. I may have to go to a hydraulic shop and see if they can. I'll take the cover and see if they'll make me up an O-ring. I looked at O-ring splicing kits online, and you know, bottom of the barrel O-ring splicing kit's almost $100. I don't need that. I don't need to spend $100 on a kit that I might use a few times. But okay, that's enough whining. The other thing I got to do here, there was a generator on this engine. I still have it, I could show you that. The generator, and there was an external voltage regulator. But I'm not going to put that back on. What I've got is I got a GM one-wire alternator that I'm going to put in here. But the bracket's not quite the same. I mean, this is the adjustment for the old generator. But I'm going to have to make up something in here to tension the alternator. So I'll figure it out. I've held it in here one day just briefly, but I haven't spent a whole bunch of time on that. And actually, I think I need to do that before I drop the rad back in there. I need to have this right. I need to have the belt. I need to have it all set up before I drop the rad in, because like I say, it'll be just about impossible to work around it once it's in. So actually, I just added something to my schedule. Okay, so let's show you that. A couple other things as far as an update. I've just been going around, like I say, there's some videos you've seen where I've gone with the rust converter on different things. And I had some rust paint, like it's just Tremclad rust paint. So I just put it here and there, and I mean, it's not, I didn't prep it perfectly, but I mean, just as a way of helping preserve it for the meantime. Other thing I did, I showed you where I had the fuel tank out, and I had the steering column out. So I've got the fuel tank back in, and the steering column back in. I freed up all these linkages, they were all seized. The steering wheel was just down to a nub on here, it was rusted. I showed you that in another video. So I put the tank back in, and they put basically with this cab assembly on here, there's no other way to get the tank out. I had to basically lift this off, pull it out, wrestle the tank out, and then to put it back in is the reverse. It was quite a struggle, but I got it back in, and so I have decided to reuse the old tank for now. I fixed it with JB Weld and painted a couple of coats of paint. The other thing I did down in here, I still got hoses and stuff to do, but the primary concern is to get the engine started. You know, if I can determine that and get that solved first, then I'll worry about other things like the hoses. But what I did was I cleaned out the tank, and I put a new fuel line here, so down to the filters. And believe it or not, these filters are new. That's something I omitted saying in a video I made a while ago, the first video. But I did change the fuel filters. It's one of the first things I did. I changed the engine oil, dumped it out, it was good. So I put clean, fresh engine oil in it, a new engine oil filter, and cleaned out these. I took this right off the engine, cleaned out these housings, and put 2 new filters in here from Napa. And I had so basically fuel comes from the tank down through here, goes through the primary filter, this is a secondary filter, and it comes out and goes out of the secondary to the injection pump right here. So I put all those lines back on. So that's all set, ready to go. I dug out some battery cables. I found this cable was the one that was on it, and it'll be good for now. It's good enough. Then there was no negative one, so I found this one. It's an old one. It'll work to ground it. Like I say, you can see where I tidied it up. Just threw some paint on here because I had another video. I used a grinder in here and I ground off a whole bunch of surface rust, and I just wanted to protect it for now. And it's not the final color. It's what I had on hand. And a few other things I got to do. Like I said one time before, this boot was leaking, so I got to fix that boot. Here's your neutral safety switch right here. And I tested this for continuity the other day, and it doesn't have continuity through here. So that switch is either stuck or it's defective, so that'll have to be changed or fixed. So I'll look at that another day. I'll take that out. All these little things. Got the pedals all hooked back up. There's some adjustments that have to be made. I'm gonna have to look in the book. Adjustment for this this clutch pedal here. Like I say, you saw where I put this jumper hose on here just so I could start it, because when I cranked it over before, and these hoses that were on here were rusted out, or they were actually pipes running forward here to the cooler, and it was spraying hydraulic fluid out because there's an internal pump down in there that's separate from the one on the front. So I just jumped it here, so I'll be able to at least, you know, start the engine. It's quite a mess here with the power steering. I just got where the pipes were all rusted off too, so I've just got the ends of this thing capped. But the steel line's coming from the power steering pump over there, and then these go to the valve up in the steering column. I'm gonna probably take this whole thing out someday. Just take the whole thing out and then just look at maybe changing hoses. Put 4 hoses on it, 2 to the cooler and 2 to the pump. And what else can I show you? I've still got these rams disconnected because I haven't heated this up. I'm gonna have to put some heat on these bushings in here to see if I can get this to pivot. This is frozen in that position. So what I did was I disconnected these rams, hoping that I could lift that. You know, I tried to jack it up with a floor jack, and the whole tractor lifted. So, you know, it's gotta be freed up there. Like I say, I've gone around grinding on it. I put some rust converter on it. I got some things freed up. That's just the state of how it is right now. It'll get there. But like I say, the rad, back to that. I got a lot of the grease out of there. This was caked, like you saw it earlier. This engine oil from over the years has never been cleaned, you know, in recent history anyway. So that'll make it transfer heat a bit better. Like I say, I'm gonna figure out some way to test this too. I may even just take it to the shop, you know, take it to a rad shop and get them to throw it in the tank. They've got all the stuff for that, and you know, it probably won't cost that much for them to just determine if it's leaking or not. So that's probably the easiest thing to do. I might just do that. And then again, I might not. I'm kind of stubborn that way. I might try and make it work myself. That's another thing I can show you here. There's the key switch. That's the original key switch. I got another key switch because there's no key for this. I couldn't find the key. The key didn't come with it, so I got another one. They were like, it was $12 on Amazon for a ignition with 2 keys. Can't beat that. None of these wires are going back in. This is all the stuff that went to the generator, and the generator and the external voltage regulator. I got oil pressure switch here. That's out because I put an oil pressure gauge in. And that's the other thing I got to do. I've got the instrument cluster. That's in another video. What I've done with that is I've put rust converter on it, and then I've put body fill. That's what you see here, this pink. This is I put body fill on it, and I got to sand it, and then I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put those gauges in. I'm going to run some new wires. So I got to run a wire down to the starter, to the where's that solenoid? I had a solenoid. Here it is. Here. This solenoid doesn't work either. This is the solenoid for the it's not. I was almost going to say glow plugs, but there's not a glow plug on this thing. There's an intake manifold heater. So basically, there's what I'm going to do is with the ignition switch I've got. It's got a like an accessory position. If you turn the key back, accessory position, and then you've got off, and then you've got on, and then you've got start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire this. I ordered another one. This doesn't work. I'm going to wire this to the accessory position. So basically, so when you're in the accessory position, power will flow through the positive from the battery up to this. This is your intake manifold, and this is the intake manifold heater here. So I'll run the accessory position. So basically, when you go to start it, I'll just turn it back to the accessory position. I'll have a light on there too. Probably there's a light I can put there, and just to show that the combustion heater or the intake manifold heater is on. You can leave that on for what, 10-15 seconds, and then go to the start position. You know, so that'll work. Anyway, I tried this. I tested this the other day. It doesn't work at all. So that's seized up. It still makes a noise. You can rattle it. You can hear it, but the contacts in it are shot. And what can I show you here? That is the water pump pulley that was rusted out that I've replaced. I bought another one. But I did try, as you can see here, really feebly to put JB weld on it, and then I was going to sand it out, and I just realized it was pretty far gone, right? So that's not the fan off of it. That's a fan off of something else. That's off that old truck over there. These are some of the pipes. You know, they're pretty rotten. I've just hung on to them. I have a habit of hanging on to everything until I've either, you know, made the thing work or fixed it, you know, and replaced it with something else. And then once I know that, you know, it's been replaced with something else, then I'll discard it. But not until then. It leads to a lot of stuff laying around sometimes. But anyway, I think that gives you an update of what's happened in the last couple of months. So yeah, I'm actually, that is probably not a bad idea, just to take it to a rad shop and get them to put it in the tank. That's so much quicker than me trying to make up something to plug these off with. Okay, the flies are starting to get me here tonight. So I think I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. There'll be more coming. I'm going to definitely, when I get to the point where I'm about to turn this thing over, I will have it on video, and I'm going to keep you up to date on progress. And like I say, if this thing runs, it's going to be great. It'll be about best part of, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 20 years since it's ran. So let's hope.